Welcome to today's explainer. Okay, we're gonna jump right into this, because the story we're exploring today, it's honestly as dramatic and emotional as any Hollywood blockbuster, but it actually takes place right out there in nature. I want you to just picture this, an ancient, incredibly quiet forest. And deep inside this forest, right in the dark, hollowed-out heart of a really old tree, a completely new life is just starting. We're talking about a tiny, featherless baby red-headed woodpecker. Now, at this stage, this little guy is incredibly fragile. He's totally blind to the massive world outside, just calling out with this tiny, soft chirp.
There's this beautiful saying, life begins in the darkness, but dreams are woven of the sky. And for this tiny bird, that hits the nail right on the head. You see, right now, his entire universe, literally everything he knows, is just a small, pitch-black wooden hole. He has no idea what a forest is, or what a sky is. He only knows the dark, super safe confines of his tree trunk. But here's the wild part. Even in this absolute darkness, the potential for incredible flight, for total freedom, is already hardwired right into his DNA.
So that brings us to Chapter 1, Birth and a New World. In this dark little cavity, our baby bird isn't really experiencing the real world yet. The freezing winds, the deafening rain, the predators, all of that danger literally stops right at the bark of the tree. Inside that hole, it's a sanctuary. It's safe, it's warm, and it's completely wrapped in a mother's selfless love. She is the ultimate shield here. She brings the light, the warmth, the food, basically standing as the one and only barrier between life and death for him. But man, just outside that wooden fortress, nature is completely unforgiving. We're talking violent winds, relentless rain, danger at every turn. His mom navigates all that external chaos just to keep the peace inside. But the thing you've got to remember about the wild is, well, peace is always fleeting. It just doesn't last forever. Which leads us into Chapter 2, the storm and the struggle for life. So a little time passes, right? The baby starts growing. You can even start to see the faint beginnings of that signature red head of his. He's getting a bit stronger. But just as he's starting to grow, nature decides to put him to the ultimate test. Out of nowhere, the sky darkens, the temperature just drops, and this terrifying, violent storm hits the forest. It forces the ultimate sacrifice from his mother. First, these incredibly violent winds shake that massive old tree literally right down to its roots. Inside the hole, the baby's heart is just racing. He is feeling true, paralyzing fear for the absolute first time in his life. And his mom, instead of hiding inside with him, she actually clings to the outside of the trunk. She physically positions her own body as a barricade over the entrance. She bears the entire brutal force of the storm just to protect that nest. She's taking every single lash of the wind and the rain, risking absolutely everything. And in doing so, she becomes dangerously, dangerously exhausted.
Now we reach Chapter 3, a heartbreaking moment.
Eventually, the storm actually passes. The violent winds finally die down, and the morning sun starts to rise, casting this really beautiful golden light all across the forest. But for our little woodpecker, this beautiful morning brings a completely different kind of darkness. A tragic, quiet one. You see, the mother survived the night, but that storm, it took absolutely everything she had left. Barely able to hold on, she looks into the nest one last time. She looks at her baby, who's got those little red feathers coming in now. She gives him this final, loving look, and with her beak, she just gives him a gentle, affectionate tap right on his red head. It's almost like she's silently telling him, "My son has grown up now. You're ready for the world." It's this incredibly quiet, powerful passing of the torch. The branch was now empty. Slowly, her grip just loosens. She falls from the branch, disappearing into the forest floor down below. And suddenly, the baby is entirely alone. He's flapping his little wings. He's screaming out into the morning air, just calling and calling for the shield that has literally always been there. But there's no answer. That tree hole, the one that was once his entire safe universe, suddenly feels like this terrifying, echoing prison.
Let's move to Chapter 4, Courage and the First Strike. A few days go by. The baby is starving now, and he's completely isolated. He's practically sitting right on the edge of this abyss of his own grief and fear. But crying isn't going to bring him food. He has to face the really terrifying reality that if he doesn't act right now, he is not going to survive. That overwhelming hunger pushes him right to the brink. So he lifts his beak for his very first hesitant, painful strike against the hardwood of the tree. And it hurts. It's super jarring. But right in that moment, he remembers his mother's silent lesson. He's not weak. He is a woodpecker. He was literally born to pierce through the hardest woods out there. So he strikes again, much harder this time. And finally, the wood splinters and he pulls out an insect. His very first meal, earned entirely by his own strength.
One single successful strike. That's actually all it took to completely change his destiny. That one specific moment of pushing through the pain and the fear, that was his rebirth. In a fraction of a second, he transformed from this terrified, grieving baby bird into a resilient creature, fully capable of surviving the wild. He finally realized his own power. And that brings us to our final chapter, conquering the sky. Let's flash forward a bit. He's not a baby anymore. He is this breathtaking, fully mature, red-headed woodpecker. His feathers are striking, his head is a brilliant crimson, and he is standing fearlessly at the very top of the forest canopy, just looking out over the world that used to absolutely terrify him. He spreads those wide wings and launches himself right into the open air. Because the open sky is the ultimate reward for enduring all that darkness. He's flying with his mother's blessing, proving to us that strong intentions and unshakable willpower can pierce through any hardship, any storm, and any loss. He didn't just survive that tree hole, he completely conquered the sky above it. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today, and honestly, I want to leave you all with a really powerful question to think about. From which dark hole of life will you emerge to find your open sky? We all face storms, right? We all have those moments where our safe spaces are totally shattered and we're forced to step out into the hard, painful unknown. But just like our red-headed woodpecker, that struggle is exactly what gives us the wings to fly. So think about your own open sky today. Thank you so much for joining me to explore this incredible journey. Keep learning, keep pushing forward, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.